Um, yeah, till July sounds like a bunch of bull. I'm sorry, but like, it's a virus. I get it. Like, I respect it, but at the same time, like, even if everybody gets it, like, yeah, people are gonna die. It's just terrible, but like,
Inevitable. We're going to touch on that in a second, but sup, you beautiful bastards. Hope you've had a fantastic Wednesday. Welcome back to the Philip DeFranco Show. And actually, a big announcement before we get started. You know, last week I announced to my team, Monday I informed you that things were changing, or people would be working from home, certain other things off of this channel would have to be suspended, but you would actually see increased output here, which actually, as of this week, right now, it looks like not only are you getting a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday show, but also a Friday and Sunday show. And in addition to that, today I am launching the YouTube channel, youtube.com/aconvo-with-clips. It's a clips and highlight channel for my podcast, A Conversation With, which unfortunately we had to suspend because we don't want people coming in. And it's kind of for everybody. One, if you're one of the almost around 250,000 people who subscribe to the podcast here on YouTube, you've probably missed episodes or maybe skipped certain episodes because you're like, I don't know if that person's gonna be interesting. And so what we're doing is going through the podcast, getting some of the best bits, the highlights, the clips, and then releasing them so you can watch them, 4 to 12 minutes at a time. Or two, maybe you're someone that was like, I don't have an hour and a half to 2.5 hours to listen to every single podcast. Or maybe just not into traditional podcasts. And so these are essentially just little 4 to 12 minute videos. And best of all, starting today, literally uploaded the videos just before this one. Every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, we will be releasing 2 clips on that channel. So right now, click the link in the description down below. Make sure you subscribe today. But with that said, this is the Philip DeFranco Show, so buckle up, hit that like button, and let's just jump into it. And actually, the first thing we're going to talk about today is Vanessa Hudgens and that clip being in the news. So in the original clip, that actually ends like this.
inevitable? I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't be doing this right now.
Vanessa Hudgens was commenting on the situation with the coronavirus, and while this blew up Tuesday, this clip was actually taken from a Monday live stream of hers. And man, the backlash with this one was strong. You had people calling her horrible and heartless, people tweeting things like, I'm immunocompromised, if I get this, it could kill me. My life doesn't matter less because I'm not as rich as you or because my lungs aren't perfect. And in response to all this outrage, Hudgens issued the first of 2 apologies. In an Instagram story, she said this.
I realized today that some of my comments are being taken out of context. It's a crazy time. It's a crazy time. And I am at home and in lockdown. And that's what I hope you guys are doing too. In full quarantine and staying safe and sane. Yeah, I don't take this situation lightly by any means. I am home. So stay inside, y'all.
Right, and that post was met with even more anger, with people slamming the clip in general, saying that she was focusing too much on herself, or just asking, how is this exactly taken out of context? And ultimately, we ended up seeing Hudgens issue an apology via the Notes app, writing, hey guys, I'm so sorry for the way I have offended anyone and everyone who has seen the clip from my Instagram Live yesterday. I realize my words were insensitive and not at all appropriate for the situation our country and the world are in right now. This has been a huge wake-up call about the significance my words have now more than ever. I'm sending safe wishes to everyone to stay safe and healthy during this crazy time. And while following this, you still had many people slamming Vanessa Hudgens. You also had a number of people defending her. And among those others, you had the likes of Chrissy Teigen, who tweeted, sometimes people, especially famous people, are gonna say really stupid shit, and so are you, and they and you will learn from it, and hopefully their history says they're good. It's okay, and at the same time, wow, they really had a dumb fucking moment, but you don't have to ruin their lives. Adding, this isn't about me this time, but it will be one day, or it'll be you. But yeah, today, it's Vanessa, lol. And adding, and no, life is rarely ruined for anyone, but you are damn well trying your best. Just stop. With Teigen then replying to several people, including those who were criticizing the apology from Vanessa Hudgens, right? And in general here hitting on the points of we should want people to learn, we should want people to grow, we are all essentially stupid at times. And then going on to say, what can I say? Kids and online torture have made me a much more empathetic person. May you never be on the end of everyone hating you. And adding, you are not gonna talk me into not forgiving people's mistakes. It makes me clear and makes me happy, and I'm gonna be happy. You wanna be angry online all fucking day? Go for it. And following this, you had a lot of Vanessa's fans agreeing with Teigen's perspective, noting that the actress has been staying home and has been very supportive of those impacted by the virus. In fact, before this scandal, Hudgens threw her support behind the organization Feeding America, donating money herself and encouraging others to do the same. Others compared this situation to Rudy Gobert. He's the NBA player who prompted the NBA shutdown when he tested positive for the virus after jokingly touching microphones at a press conference and reportedly acting careless around other players. Right, Rudy noted, I hurt people and got it wrong, where he owned up to it, right, and even going on to say, essentially, use me as the example for what not to do. But ultimately, that's where we are with this. I really would love to know your thoughts. What do you think about that Vanessa Hudgens clip? Do you agree with the likes of of Teigen, or do you disagree? Why not? I'd love to know in those comments down below. But from that, I want to share some stuff I love today in Awesome, brought to you by Drop. And the way you can think about Drop is it's basically free money. But if you're shopping online these days without this free app, you are seriously missing out on rewards that add up very quickly. I've used Drop for 2 years, and the proof's in the numbers. You can check out my collection page, see how I earn on Drop. And you guys can actually earn $140 worth of Drop points today just by shopping the brands in my Phil's Picks section. And all you do with this is you click on the offers that interest you, you tap Shop Now, check out just as normal, and then Drop will automatically add the points into your account once the transaction clears. And to maximize point earnings, just remember to always start with Drop before you shop at places like eBay, Postmates, Blue Apron, Disney Plus, and over 300 other brands. Even your Ubers and Lyfts earn points. And for a limited time, 100 of you beautiful bastards will be chosen at random to receive $5 to $25 worth of reward points on Drop. So just download the app by going to earnwithdefranco.com, where you just click that link in the description down below. You then use code Phil, and then you finish setting up by linking a card for a chance to win. And the contest here ends April 1st, 2020, so do not wait. And the first bit of awesome is actually on that brand new channel, youtube.com/aconvowithclips. The first 2 videos I just uploaded are from my conversation with Casey Neistat. In one, he talks about a kind of revenge video that he ended up scrapping, and we kind of just talk about cancel culture in general. And 2, the other one is more about the importance of prioritization, offloading where you suck, so a little something for everyone. Then BBC Earth gave us hawks attacking balloons in super slow motion. Vanity Fair gave us Andrew Yang, same interview 1 year apart. We got Nick Offerman answering the web's most searched questions. We had Reese Witherspoon and Kerry Washington previewing Hulu's Little Fires Everywhere. We also had Gabriella B giving us all pop songs sound the same, which is kind of like a younger, newer Axis of Awesome 4-chord song. Then Dropkick Murphys had a free live stream concert that is available for you right now here on YouTube. And if you want to see the full versions of everything I just shared, the secret link of the day, really anything at all, links as always are in the description down below. And then let's talk about the primary elections and the coronavirus. Right, so yesterday we saw major primaries being held in Florida, Arizona, and Illinois. And just like we've seen in the last few primaries, Biden was just cleaning up. As predicted, he won all 3 states by some pretty big margins. In Florida, he won 61.9% to Bernie's 22.8%, also winning by more than 20% in Illinois, leading by 10% in Arizona, where 88% of the precincts were reporting as of recording. Right, and so with these results, it brought up more questions about Bernie Sanders' future in this race. Right, and regarding that question this morning, we saw a spokesperson for Bernie say that he was going to assess his campaign. Also this morning, we saw Axios reporting that the Sanders campaign suspended their Facebook ads, and they're noting that Buttigieg and Bloomberg both did the same thing hours before they suspended their campaigns. So that's the top level stuff, but I really want to focus on another really big element of these primaries and all the primaries going forward. And that, of course, is the coronavirus. The big question heading into yesterday's primaries was how the just massive escalation of this situation over the last week would affect the elections. Or you even had Trump now saying that we should be social distancing, that there should not be gatherings of more than 10 people. But meanwhile, you essentially had these 3 states going, nah, it's okay. And they went ahead with the election. Anyway, though, very notably, Ohio was also supposed to have their primary yesterday, but after a lot of legal back and forth, the governor postponed it at the very last minute. Though, according to reports, that created some confusion and some people still turned up to vote. But still, in the other 3 states, you had a lot of people really upset that the elections were still being held and that in-person voting was still going to happen. With some people saying that these elections should be postponed, that it was unsafe, some even saying that it amounted to voter suppression. Meanwhile, you have these election officials in these 3 states saying that they will be taking extra precautions, sanitizing voting machines and other equipment, also providing hand sanitizer wipes and other products to voters, also officials encouraging people to vote by mail or vote early. Additionally, we saw them moving some of their polling precincts away from high-risk areas like assisted living facilities. Right, and so even with all that, there was this big question, how many people are actually going to show up? Right, how many people are you going to have comfortable enough to sit in lines together, touch some of the same things as other people? And what we ended up seeing is that while in-person voter turnout was pretty low across the board, in both Florida and Arizona, overall turnout was actually higher than in 2016. This, though, mostly driven by early voting and mail-in ballots. Though, very notably in Maricopa County in Arizona, which includes Phoenix and about half of the state's registered Democrats, in-person turnout was actually higher than in 2016. This, despite the fact that reportedly around 80 polling stations were closed there. But the same could not be said for Illinois, which had low voter turnout on all fronts. Especially in Cook County, which like Maricopa includes the state's biggest city, Chicago, and about half the Democrat voters that cast ballots in the primary. There, according to reports, turnout was down more than 200,000 votes from 2016. But that wasn't the state's only issue. According to reports, there were a lot of precincts and election volunteers that canceled last minute, with one Chicago election spokesperson saying that they had to relocate about 50 polling places at the last minute. And so in addition to health concerns, there's just a lot of confusion. In fact, according to a senior counsel at Chicago Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights, they were fielding an unprecedented volume of calls from voters confused about where to vote or unsure whether they should leave their homes to cast ballots. And in some of those places, those who did cast ballots in person complained of waiting in long lines for hours in cramped conditions where they couldn't social distance, with some others reporting that precincts didn't have proper cleaning supplies or sanitizers. And despite calls for more people to send in mail-in ballots, according to reports, the fact that polling stations were moved away from nursing homes where many residents vote made it so that it was too late for them to apply for a mail-in ballot, and public health protocols as encouraging older people not to be in crowds made it hard for them to go vote in person. And all of that raises a question about mail-in ballots. Right, election officials all over the country are encouraging people to vote by mail amid this pandemic. But a lot of states have strict vote-by-mail laws. Some states require people to apply a certain amount of time ahead of the election, like in Illinois, while others have really specific restrictions on who can vote by mail. Like New York, for example, which only lets people cast absentee ballots for 6 very specific reasons, none of which includes a public health emergency. And so with all of this, especially because we do not know how long this will last, there's been a call to overhaul the vote-by-mail system. And actually, yesterday we saw the head of the DNC, Tom Perez, hit on this, saying, as our country deals with the uncertainty of COVID-19, it is critical that states provide clarity and not confusion, which could lead to disenfranchising voters. Also encouraging states to make vote-by-mail available to all registered voters and expand no-excuse voting, and saying where in-person voting can still take place under public health guidelines, states should expand days and hours of early voting to reduce lines. But there are also hurdles to that. As Matt Blaze, an election security expert and computer science professor at Georgetown Law School, explains, rolling something as complex as this out at large scale introduces thousands of small problems, some of which are security problems, some of which are reliability problems, some of which are resource management problems that only become apparent when you do it. And while a big overhaul like that might be really difficult at the state level, there has been some movement at the federal level. In fact, last week, Amy Klobuchar proposed a bill that would expand both vote by mail and early voting nationally, as well as open up federal funds to states to implement those practices. But ultimately, that's pretty much where we are right now. It's going to be very interesting and concerning to see how these primaries and how just voting in general moves forward. I mean, so far you have 5 states delaying their primaries to later. You still have the Democratic convention scheduled for July, though it's unclear what's going to happen with that. And of course, you have the big one in November. What are the state of affairs going to be at that time? It's interesting, concerning times. What are your thoughts regarding this voting situation? It's somewhat easier when we're talking about the primaries, though not completely. When people are talking about the primaries, they're often talking about, Bernie versus Biden. But it's important not to forget that both Democrats and Republicans are voting on other important things, right? Things that affect them on a more local level. Right, so what are your thoughts regarding opening up mail-in voting? What are your thoughts about the people going in person still at this time? I'd really love to hear from you, especially if you've been in one of these recent primary states. And then finally, let's talk about the coronavirus, President Trump, his exchange with governors, and actually what is happening right now. Right, so yesterday we saw this exchange between Trump and Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer. Trump tweeting, failing Michigan governor must work harder and must be more proactive. We are pushing her to get the job done. I stand with Michigan. About an hour later, Whitmer responded, now that I've got your attention, Mr. President, attack tweets won't solve this crisis, but swift and clear guidance, tests, personal protective equipment, and resources would. FYI, here's what I've done so far. Whitmer then going on to list steps she's taken in Michigan, including insured Medicaid waiver for copays and cost sharing for testing, declared a state of emergency, closed all K-12 schools, restricted entry into care facilities and juvenile justice facilities, enhanced restrictions on price gouging, expanded unemployment benefits. And Whitmer then going on to tell the New York Times, ironically, he made my point that the federal government is not taking this as seriously as they need to, and also saying that Trump has been, quote, watching TV. Right, and so all of that happened after Trump held a conference call on Monday with governors from all over the country. And on that, you had multiple governors reportedly asking for more federal support. But according to the New York Times, Trump then told them, quote, respirators, ventilators, all of the equipment, try getting it yourselves. We will be backing you, but try getting it yourselves. Point of sales, much better, much more direct if you can get it yourself. Right? And with that, it seemed that a lot of governors were not happy with that answer. You had New Mexico Governor Lujan Grisham reportedly telling Trump in that call, if one state doesn't get the resources and materials they need, the entire nation continues to be at risk. Also saying that the federal government was impeding states' abilities to respond to the virus, as well as creating a situation where states were competing against one another for the needed products. Yesterday, you also had Whitmer going on TV and saying,
to hear the leader of the federal government tell us to work around the federal government because it's too slow is just, it's kind of mind-boggling, to be honest. We are pulling out all the stops here in Michigan, but we need the federal government to work. We need respirators and ventilators and personal protection equipment. We need more test kits and the resources to process those test kits.
But of course, I do want to mention that Trump did have some support here, that coming in the form of Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, who said that Trump was telling them to, quote, cut out the federal bureaucracy and potentially get it quicker, arguing what he was saying was sensible. However, and this is a really big however, this all seems to be a part of a much larger picture that's been happening since the outbreak really gained a foothold here in the United States. I mean, you have a lot of other governors who have been clashing with the federal government trying to get support, many of them frustrated. One of the bigger battles we've seen is with New York Governor Andrew Cuomo. After that conference call, Cuomo told reporters that the federal government had been behind from day one of this crisis, calling the administration's response inexcusable, which is likely why we saw later that afternoon Trump saying on Twitter, Cuomo of New York has to, quote, do more. Cuomo then responding back, I have to do more? No, you have to do something. You're supposed to be the president. Trump then taking another swing at Cuomo yesterday, telling Cuomo to, quote, keep politics out of it, but right now, it at least appears that Trump and Cuomo are trying to work together. Right? Because after that exchange, we saw Cuomo saying he put his hand out in partnership, telling reporters there's no time for hyper-partisan politicking right now, adding the president is doing the right thing and offering to step up with New York, and I appreciate it. In turn, Trump responded saying we had a really good talk this morning. We are both doing a really good job. Now, before moving forward into what we're seeing actually happen on the ground, I do want to touch on one thing regarding what is being said, because I greatly believe the actions that are taking place today that we're going to see in the coming weeks and months, that is the most important thing. But I also can't just do that while you have a president of the United States that seemingly wants to gaslight the nation. Right? Yesterday, Trump said this.
I've always known this is a pandemic. I felt it was a pandemic long before it was called a pandemic.
But Trump isn't telling the truth here, and we know that for the number of times he knowingly said on camera otherwise. And the recount did actually a pretty great job of consolidating a number of those clips.
Coming in from China. We think we have it very well under control. We pretty much shut it down. Coming in from China. You know, in April, supposedly it dies with the hotter weather. When it gets warm, historically, that has been able to kill the virus. The people are getting better. They're all getting better. And the 15 within a couple of days is going to be down to close to zero. It's going to disappear. One day, it's like a miracle. It will disappear, and you'll be fine.
Right, just the consistent downplaying of the situation until the pivot, which, once again, I am happy to see over the past few days. But I point this out because, once again, one of the main criticisms of this president is he did not move fast enough, that the heads up, the head start that we got was wasted. And we'll never fully know how much smaller this could have been if we moved on things sooner and explained to the American public faster from the top down what a big deal this could be. I guess what I'm trying to say is I'm happy to see that someone called 911, but we really need to wonder and remember why it took so long to get the phone out. Right? And that's why you have people like Maryland Governor Larry Hogan saying of the president's recent switch, his messaging sounds a lot more like the way I've been talking and some of my colleagues have been talking about it for weeks. But with all of that said, yesterday we did see Trump finally making a commitment to the states. This by starting to enlist a lot more government agencies, even though the White House has been calling this for a while now a whole government response. Of course, that's despite the fact that states feel otherwise. That, of course, after the situation with ventilators, but also after the mayor of Seattle, which is one of the hardest hit areas, asked for mass tents to rapidly build shelters, and also after New York State pleaded with the Army Corps of Engineers to quickly build hospitals, and actually as of last night, the Army Corps of Engineers said that it will work with New York to find more hospital beds. We've also seen Defense Secretary Mark Esper say that the Pentagon will give up to 5 million masks to protect healthcare workers and vulnerable people, also saying that the first million would be made available immediately. And while it is expected to fall way short of the number needed, the Pentagon also said that it made available 2,000 ventilators for hospitals. We also saw New Mexico Governor Grisham say that Pence had pledged to work with her to increase New Mexico's supply needs. Also, Washington Governor Jay Inslee saying he now expects the Department of Defense to help provide resources that could help bolster new medical hospitals. Additionally, we saw the big news this morning that Trump announced he's invoking the Defense Production Act. Now that, notably, is a Korean War era law, and what it does is it allows the private sector to ramp up production and distribution of emergency supplies and equipment like masks, ventilators, and respirators. Alongside that, Trump then dispatched 2 military hospital ships to New York City and the West Coast, though, notably, according to reports, one of those ships probably won't be deployed for at least another couple weeks. Trump also saying that he's activating FEMA at level 1, which is its highest level. We're also seeing that Housing and Urban Development has been told to suspend all foreclosures and evictions until the end of April. Health and Human Services is suspending regulations that prevent medical professionals from practicing across state lines. Also calling for the nation to postpone all elective medical procedures. Additionally, regarding changes at the border, we saw Trump say this morning, we will be, by mutual consent, temporarily closing our northern border with Canada to non-essential traffic. Trade will not be affected. Details to follow. Also, as we were filming today, we got the news that the Senate has passed a 2-week paid sick leave bill. And notably, the House also passed that bill earlier this week, and Trump is expected to sign it. Also, very notably, the White House is asking Congress for $1 trillion. This for their coronavirus relief and economic stimulus plan. And this reportedly would be for individuals as well as specific industries. $500 billion would be for individual Americans. This, according to a report on Axios, would be done with 2 separate checks of equal amounts, one on April 6th, one on May 18th. And the specific dollar amounts there would be means tested, meaning it would be based on income level and family size. $50 billion would be for the airline industry. Reportedly, this would take the form of secured loans to passenger and cargo air carriers. And with this, limits would be placed on executive pay increases until the loans were repaid. $300 billion for this would go to small business interruption loans. Here, reportedly, employers with 500 employees or fewer would be eligible. And they'd have to keep paying all their workers for 8 weeks from the date of the loan, with the government guaranteeing 100% of 6 weeks of payroll capped at $1,540 per week per employee. The other $150 billion would be used for other affected industries. But ultimately, that's where we are with this ever-developing story. And of course, I'd love to to know your thoughts on this $1 trillion proposal. I'd love to know your thoughts regarding the governors, what we're seeing on the ground, what was said before compared to now. If I can end on a non-newsy note for the three people still here at the end of the video, especially for those concerned, have you found yourself for like just a moment forgetting that we're living in these times? Like last night I was watching the third to last episode of season 2 of I'm Sorry. I don't know why I'm giving you that much information. But then you get that little timer and it's like, hey, the next episode's gonna be on in 20 seconds. And then during that 20 seconds, I had that sobering moment of like, oh, that's right. There's that weight I forgot we were all feeling. I don't know, crazy times, but that is where I'm going to end today's show. As always, of course, I appreciate you for being here. Also, if you like this video, hit us with a like. If you're new here, definitely subscribe to make sure you don't miss these daily weekday videos. Also, if you're looking for more to watch right now, you can definitely check out those brand new clips that I just uploaded. The first ones are with Casey Neistat. Or maybe just missed yesterday's Philip DeFranco show, you want to catch up. I mean, there's a lot to stay up to date on. You can click to tap right there to watch either of those. But of course, as always, my name's Philip DeFranco. You've just been filled in. I love your faces. We are in this together, and I will see you tomorrow.
I hope you liked this video. Subscribe if you like it.